Thanks for having me here. It's kind of cool to be part of this group. It's not my usual crowd, so it's interesting to hear all of this. So I am the editor-in-chief of Best Health magazine. We're about 5.5 years old now. We launched in 2008, published by Reader's Digest Canada. Women's Healthy Lifestyle magazine. We have a 4-pillared approach to health and wellness, so an overall approach, including health, fitness, beauty, embracing life. All of those things are wrapped up into what a healthy woman wants to be, and needs all those aspects to kind of come together in order to feel her best. We love trying products. We love, thinking that we're going to be guaranteed to look younger, or at least have the reduction of fine lines appearance after 2 weeks of regular use. Any little promise? Since we've launched, we've been struck by all of the proliferation of the newer sort of natural green beauty products. That could be a whole other presentation here today, but I wanted to talk about the labels and the differences that we've seen on labels of products over the years as well, whether they're the green or natural ones or the more mainstream products. So sometimes those words that are on the labels are free of blank, or they're contain no blank. A lot of those words that were appearing 5 or 6 years ago, nobody had heard of, but because they started appearing on those labels in that way, then people knew what they are and started wondering, well, why does that product not have that? Is there something wrong with it? So as media, it's our job to question what we're confused by too, sometimes, to be frank, and we want to be a trusted lens through which our readers can try to make up their own minds and find answers to the questions that they're asking themselves. That comes naturally to the team and I as journalists, because our readers are smart, and we know that they're looking for answers to their questions. They're worried about a lot of things, and a large part that's because of the proliferation of the blogosphere, right? And all these people who can now have a forum to put their evidence that they feel is evidence, and some of it's great, and a lot of it's not, as you know. So our beauty editor, Rhonda Roban, she's always saying she's hearing that she gets attributions from some blogs that she looks at regularly, like CNN reports that lipsticks have lead, or whatever the case might be, whatever the headline might be. Well, we know as journalists that a secondhand source like CNN isn't a good enough one. What was their original source, if they had one? And then that blogger, citing CNN, citing an unknown source, that's third hand. It's just too far away, too many degrees of separation from the truth. So while we do have these lovely beauty pages, we also have answers to questions about labels. And so let's have a look at some of the ones that we've written about and looked into. It was an article called The Truth About Parabens. It was in our second issue, so we'll get to this one in a second. But parabens, of course, you know what they are. They help keep our products safe for use. There was one small study in the UK a few years ago that showed that parabens weakly mimic estrogen, so that was the thing that was blown up. This is 5 or 6 years ago now that this was the talk at the time, and I'll come back to that subject later. Certified organic, that's another kind of confusing thing for people. What does certify, what is actually guaranteed to be organic? Well, there's so many different certifying bodies. So we looked and we broke down in our article all the different certifying bodies and explained who they were and what was behind them and what they meant and what they considered organic. Nail polish removers too, you start seeing, I don't know if many of the women in the audience have noticed in the last few years, acetone free. So you think, well, what's wrong with acetone? So we looked into that as well, and then we looked at what's replacing acetone as the solvent, and what's wrong or not wrong with any of those things. And of course, everything that's in these products is safe. It's just a matter of, well, why would something say acetone free? What is wrong with that? And again, we try to present all the facts, Joe, and go right to the science. And hopefully, people will form their own conclusions. And we, give as much of the evidence as we can and weight it in the way that it should be balanced. Petrolatum is another one. Petrolatum free, you've seen on lots of labels probably lately. And what's wrong with that? There's lots in our article about what is wrong or not wrong with it. Sometimes it's the environment that is the thing that there's been maybe a study showing that petrolatum production, that's petroleum production, and that's a byproduct of it, then that's the thing that you shouldn't buy that product because if you're worried about the environment. But people don't really understand when they see petrolatum free on a label that it's to do with the environment. They think it's dangerous for the person, and it's not. All of this to say that there's some really confusing labels, and we try to get to the bottom of them. Silicons is another one. This article we ran, Truth About Silicons, last September, trying to keep up with the new labels that are coming up, the new ingredients that we're supposed to be worried about or not worried about. Again, this is another environmental one here. Again, a minor, in my opinion, environmental concern, not a concern for your safety, but the label doesn't say that, so we try to kind of get to the bottom of that. And then back full circle, that, this isn't just about parabens anymore. We've got about 6 preservatives listed. Phenoxyethanol is the next one. The next one that probably I think people are going to start talking about because that's the one that seems to be replacing parabens. We're just trying to keep up with it and try to get the right information out to consumers. And I think that it would be great if the companies could do that maybe in a more obvious way. I think probably companies do have all that information, and the CCTFA has all that information. They do a good job on their website, and they're a great source we use all the time. And we dig for that information, but we're only one source. Like we have 100,000 paid circulation of the print magazine, but we have a big online presence as well. It's 1 million unique visitors a month. Almost 40,000 Facebook fans, 169,000 Twitter followers. So we have a huge audience ranging from 20s to 50s. They're digesting this information, but we sort of can't do it alone. The magazine's only so big. There's only so many issues we can cover. So the more that companies can do to get their message out, whether it's through the A-word advertising or whether it's on their websites, having a channel that's called Science or anything to help the consumer kind of figure it out and have your R&D available to media and to consumers if they have questions. If companies don't answer questions and we don't try to get to the bottom of questions, then I'm not sure who's going to be answering those questions, but it's probably not a trusted source. So that is it for me. Thanks.